So we made a pledge and we call it Apple 2030, that by 2030, every single device that we sell will be carbon neutral. What does it mean to be carbon neutral by 2030 for a device? Of course, it means that the supply chain needs to run on clean energy. So we are in the process of moving our suppliers to clean energy. We have 250 of our suppliers who represent well over 80% of our spend already committed to clean energy for their Apple supply. But there's another side of that. Once we make and manufacture a device, okay, it's got a zero carbon footprint, but the minute it's purchased and a user takes it and plugs it in to charge it, it's also drawing energy potentially from a grid with a carbon footprint. So we have to also think about that energy. It's part of our responsibility the way we see it. So to sell a carbon neutral device by 2030, we also have to put energy on grids around the world to cover our customers' energy needs. Along the process, we also added a couple of other things. Number one, our devices have always been known for how long they last, how durable they're. The quality of an Apple device is oftentimes why people are drawn to them, along with privacy. That's something we're also known for. So we wanted that durability and longevity to be balanced with repairability, which I know is a big discussion here as well. And last but not least, we wanted to make the most out of every resource we use. The world has finite resources. We're using some of them. So we made a real determination that we wanted as much of our product, we say 100%, to be made of recyclable or renewable materials.
We work with a number of real leaders in their sectors who have not only ambition for themselves, the way Apple does for their own portfolio and products, but are actually trying to co-create the foundations for a better world. We talk a lot about decarbonization and circular economy interchangeably, but the circular economy represents one big step further on, where we're going to have to rewire an awful lot of things. As I like to say a lot, everything, everywhere, all at once. We need a better foundation for the economy. We need social, nature, and environment to all be hand in hand in decisions, and we need to make that affordable and democratic and inclusive. For example, we're working with the Catalan regional government in an industrial symbiosis pilot that brings together about a dozen companies who are trying to share as much as possible of their own resources. One company's trash is someone else's treasure, and so on. But also they have a vision to create better jobs in the community and better protection for biodiversity, as well as greater resilience commercially. So personally, I think that in the industrial and production world, there's a chance to take what's worked very well in the landscape approach for things like regenerating nature. Because when people can actually see it and feel it, and it's part of their community and they own it, that's when you actually get the true outcome of things like prosperity for all. And this involves companies working in a very different way with their suppliers, not telling them what to do, but sort of building a shared vision together. And many of our corporate leaders like Apple are actually engaging in very different kinds of discussions with their suppliers than they would have done in the past.
Maybe I can just give some real world examples of how that's working and it will bring it home a little bit. So we say to our suppliers that we want to be 100% recycled material. When it comes to something like our sector, we actually have to go about the innovation to be able to use those materials. An Apple product is an incredible feat of engineering, and part of that is material scientists and engineers who spend lots of time on durability, on cosmetics, on weight, on malleability, all these things. I'm not a mechanical engineer, I'm a chemie by training, so forgive me. But all that work has to happen on the upfront to be able to take what by definition is a much more diverse incoming stream of material, but still have it turn out. Our goal is really simple. We don't want you to be able to tell the difference between a product that has recycled content and one that doesn't, because we don't want our customers to feel that something had to be given up. We want both. We want circularity and we want quality and durability. That's really important to us. And we feel like it's a challenge that we can meet. So our engineers are working on this side to design and spec and test and qualify all these materials. Now we have to go to the supply chain. Those materials don't necessarily exist. And spec to them, hey, you know how you've been buying material in the commodities market for a long time? How about buying something else? And remember, they're buying it. We aren't. So it's really using the influence of our global supply chain, thank you, our scale, our leadership, our power in that way to move the supply chain to a demand for recycled materials. If you have a demand for recycled materials, now you need the materials to come in to be recycled. So we've also invested in things like our robots that disassemble iPhone, Daisy and Dave and Taz, because those components, tiny as they are, have a huge impact if we can get rare earth elements back out, or tantalum, or tin, or gold. So let me just give you a couple of ideas of how that works. The new MacBook Air, the most recent one, I believe it is, has 40% recycled material in it. That cut the carbon footprint by 30%. So right there, my Apple 2030 goal is very happy. I'm getting closer without having done anything on the energy side or the offside or anything on that side of the equation. But we're also meeting this other goal as well. And if you wrap that up around all of our products, we're about 20% recycled material in our products by weight across all of the products that we sell. Our carbon footprint has gone down about 45%. And at the same time, and that's our total footprint, our revenue has gone up 68%. So it's the key for us to breaking the tie between consumption or revenue and carbon footprint, is that the materials that you use to start the process are inherently much lower carbon than what we have been using a long time, and we're training a whole supply chain around that. And having PACE is incredibly important so that they have a home, a place where that kind of learning and sharing can be multiplied across others. So they're not operating at a disadvantage, but it's a level playing field.